Deep within a secret facility, gleaming machines began to tear themselves apart. No one could explain why. Engineers checked every wire, every rotor. The machinery was perfect, yet failure after failure cascaded through the system. This place was called Natanz, Iran's fortress of nuclear ambition. It was meant to be impenetrable to outsiders. They were searching for a physical flaw, a mechanical ghost. But the enemy was completely invisible, hiding in plain sight. It was protected by an air gap, a digital moat separating it from the outside world. Nothing could get in, or so they believed. The alarms were silent. The control panels all reported normal operations, even as chaos erupted. This was not an accident. This was a targeted attack, a new form of warfare executed with lines of code. A digital superweapon had been unleashed, and its creators were a world away, watching their ghost do its work. The world held its breath over Iran's nuclear program. Nations feared what might come from facilities like Natanz. Diplomacy was failing. Sanctions were not enough. A more direct, yet deniable solution was sought in the shadows. The answer was a gamble of unprecedented scale. A secret war, codenamed Operation Olympic Games, had quietly begun. The central question became terrifyingly simple. How do you stop a nuclear program without firing a single shot? The stakes were clear. Prevent a nuclear bomb. The risk was creating a weapon that could never be controlled. The United States and Israel are widely believed to have been the architects. Two nations united by a common fear. Their goal was to sabotage Natanz with surgical precision, to make it look like a series of unfortunate industrial accidents. They needed a ghost, a weapon that could enter the most secure facility on Earth without a trace, and then vanish. The plan required a key that didn't exist. They needed a way to exploit flaws in software that no one knew about. These are called zero-day vulnerabilities. Digital skeleton keys that are incredibly rare and extremely expensive. This ghost weapon didn't just have one. It had 4. An arsenal of unseen keys to unlock almost any system. But even with the keys, they still had to cross that digital moat. How to breach the unbreachable air gap? The answer was deceptively low-tech. It relied on human behavior. A simple, trusted tool used every single day. The carrier would not be a satellite or a hacker. It would be an unsuspecting employee with a USB stick. The virus would hide on the drive, waiting patiently. Once plugged in, it would silently jump the gap. Inside, it would replicate, spreading from machine to machine, searching for its one true target, the centrifuge controllers. It was a work of digital espionage, years in the making. A weapon of immense complexity, aimed at a single room. These controllers, made by Siemens, were the brains of the operation. The virus was designed to speak their language. The plan was brilliant. It was elegant. And it was about to go disastrously wrong for the entire world. The ghost was about to escape its prison. But first, it had to be found. And nobody was even looking. Computers were crashing, stuck in an endless loop of restarting. The firm Virus Blockade began to investigate. The first thread was pulled far from Iran. In Belarus, a small security firm received a strange client complaint. They found a peculiar piece of malware. It had a valid digital signature, stolen from a reputable hardware company. This made it look like legitimate software. A wolf disguised in sheep's clothing, slipping past digital guards. The discovery was posted online. Soon, security researchers at major firms like Symantec took notice of the anomaly. It was enormous, nearly half a megabyte in size, and its purpose was a complete mystery. Then, a breakthrough. The code was searching for something specific: Siemens Industrial Control Systems, or PLCs. They began to dissect the code, layer by complex layer. What they found was unlike anything seen before. This wasn't about stealing data. This was about causing physical destruction. The ghost had a body. Researchers gave it a name based on file markers they found in the code: Stuxnet. But where was it attacking? data showed infections were overwhelmingly concentrated in one country, Iran. The pieces were clicking into place. The strange centrifuge failures, the Siemens controllers, the focus on Iran. Stuxnet wasn't just any industrial malware. It was looking for a very specific configuration of controllers, one that existed in only one place on Earth: the Natanz uranium enrichment facility. The mystery of the failing centrifuges was solved. The invisible enemy now had a name and a face. But its true genius lay in its deception, how it manipulated reality for the plant's operators. When Stuxnet attacked, it recorded 21 seconds of normal data from the system, a snapshot of peace. Then it would dangerously alter the centrifuge's speed, pushing them far beyond their limits. First too fast, then too slow. All the while, it played back that 21-second recording to the control room. A perfect digital lie. This level of sophistication had only one explanation. This was not the work of hackers. This was a nation-state. To the engineers, everything was fine. The ghost was not only invisible, it made the damage it caused invisible too. Inside the code, researchers even found hints. A project marker that read Myrtus, a possible biblical reference. The sheer resources required. The zero-day exploits, the stolen certificates, the intricate code, pointed to a superpower. Myrtus is the Hebrew name for Esther, the queen who saved her people from a Persian plot. The parallels were chilling. For a time, it worked. Nearly a fifth of Iran's centrifuges were destroyed, setting the program back years. The evidence all pointed to a joint US-Israeli operation, a silent strike to delay a threat without starting a war. The perfect crime had been committed. But a flaw in the code would soon unleash the weapon on the world. Stuxnet was designed to spread, but not indefinitely. It had a self-destruct date built into its code. A newer version of the virus, however, had a bug. Its propagation rules failed, and it began to spread aggressively. It escaped Natanz the same way it came in, on USB sticks, carried out by engineers into the wider world. Suddenly, Stuxnet was everywhere. In Russia, India, Indonesia, in industrial systems around the globe. The world's most sophisticated digital weapon was now public property. A blueprint for any nation to copy and adapt. It was harmless to most systems, as it was only programmed to attack Natanz. But the ghost was now visible. Cyber warfare had crossed a threshold. A digital attack had caused real, physical destruction on a massive scale. The great gamble had backfired. In trying to prevent one weapon, its creators had given a new one to everyone. The playbook was now written. Others began to build their own versions, targeting power grids, water supplies, and financial systems. Iran itself learned from the attack. They ramped up their own cyber warfare capabilities, creating a new front. The world had entered a new arms race, one fought in silence, with keyboards and code, with no rules of engagement. The story of the ghost weapon was no longer just about one facility in the desert. It was about everyone. All the intricate pieces of this grand secret design were now scattered for the world to see and to fear. The grand design was breathtaking. A weapon that jumped air gaps, hid from its victims, and manipulated their senses. It was the perfect saboteur. A digital assassin that left only broken machinery and confusion in its wake. But its legacy is not just destruction. It forced the world to confront the vulnerability of our connected lives. Everything from our lights to our water is controlled by systems just like the ones Stuxnet targeted. The ghost weapon showed that the line between the digital and physical worlds is an illusion. It was always one. Nations now invest billions in both cyber offense and defense. A silent global war is constantly being waged. The lesson of Stuxnet is that every innovation carries a shadow. Every tool can be a weapon in the wrong hands. The chroniclers of old wrote on stone and parchment. Today's histories are written in lines of code. And like any ancient text, they hold secrets, stories, and warnings for those who know how to read them.
The ghost of Stuxnet still haunts our networks.
A reminder that in our modern world, the most powerful walls are digital, and they can be broken with a single, brilliant, and terrifying line of code. Every story carries a warning. Explore the code that builds our world, and ask what other ghosts lie waiting.